First of all, I just want to honor everybody who's here tonight, who, go ahead and take a seat, who created a movie that was selected because, as we know, there were a lot of films that were a part of this competition. And I just want to say congratulations to each of the filmmakers and all those involved in each of the films. A wonderful, wonderful night. I'm going to go ahead and ask if, hello, I haven't met you before.
Hi.
How are you, Mandy? So great to have you here. Of course, she was in Pickup. And so what I'd like you to do is if we could go down the row here and please introduce yourselves and the film that you brought tonight, and then any of the cast or crew that is here joining us tonight, okay? Do you want to go ahead and start, Mandy?
Sure. Hi, I'm Mandy Evans. I produced and starred in Pickup. And we have Jim Trufrost here from the cast. We also have Chris Piccioni, who was the bartender, and Giovanni, who is back there somewhere, was the composer. Anybody else from my cast and crew here that I don't know of? I think that's it.
Okay, wonderful. Monica?
Hi. Is my mic on? Can you hear me? I'm Monica Lawson. I'm the executive producer and star of The Plural of Blood. Thank you. We have one of our co-writers here, Kiki Lambden Stout. Really gifted woman. Her films have been in Tribeca, at the Tribeca Film Festival, one of our really great people. And so those are the two of us who are here this evening for Plural.
Wonderful. Thanks for being here, of course. Stefon?
Hi, my name is Stefon Bristol. I am the co-writer-director of See You Yesterday. It's my NYU thesis film, and with me is the lead actor, Dante Cricklow. Stand up, please. Parrish Bradley, who plays Calvin. Stand up, stand up, stand up. Alex Emmanuel, who plays the officer. Stand up, my man. And my director of photography, Felipe Vero de Rey.
Thank you. Clayton?
I'm Clayton Dean Smith. I wrote and directed Off Track Betty. And our Betty, Diane Chesla, is here. We also have our wardrobe designer, who I'm also very blessed to call my husband, Jeffrey Montero, who's next to her.
Thank you. Kyle?
I'm Kyle Lavori. I'm the director of That Smell. Unfortunately, my two wonderful lead actors were last-minute cancellations, but I do have one of my producers, Jen Wilmuth, here, somewhere out there. She also brought her mother. Technically, she wasn't part of the crew, but, by association. There's also our production designer, who's also my girlfriend, Magdalena Bennett. And that's it.
Well, thank you, and thank you all for coming tonight, too. So we have a group that's largely actors here tonight, although we obviously have other people involved in production. So my questions are going to be geared toward that. As you know, as Florence had introduced earlier, we're going to be starting a creative series starting in October, really all about empowering actors to create their own work so that you could have something, a short film, that you could put into next year's festival, because it happens twice a year. So that's where the question, since we only have about 30 minutes, that's where it's going to be coming from, okay? So a question that I have is, for you two ladies, you both are producers on films that you starred in. When you thought about doing a project like this, was it to be able to, as an actor, put your work out there in a different way maybe than you'd been seen before?
For me, yes, absolutely, because I was having a very difficult few years where my career was going nowhere. I didn't have representation, and a coach I was working with had recommended that I produce my own work. And at first, I was completely opposed to it. It felt just kind of gross to me. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't want to I didn't want to be somebody that wasn't just an actor. I'd had this stigma against it. But then I had this idea, and I brought it to a writer and kind of just took off from there.
Wonderful. Monica?
Yeah, you know, in my experience, you know, I definitely was looking for a vehicle in which, you know, to star in, but I didn't really see it as a vanity project, as, you know, like, this is what's, you know, gonna, you know, kind of get me an agent, or this is what's gonna get me to the next level of my career. You know, my purpose in doing this was absolutely to be able to, you know, to show a side of myself that I often don't get to represent, because, you know, I split my time between here and Los Angeles, and I tend to play, you know, very, I play cops a lot, right? I have like this kind of, I always play like no nonsense cops. I mean, you find me anywhere online, like I'm like arresting somebody, or like somebody's in big trouble with me. And I never really get a chance to, like, you know, really explore like my more compassionate, like sensitive side. And I was really blessed that when I came upon this script, because I actually, the way that I found my story was that I did a nationwide search for scripts, and the original story writer, Sylvester Folks, submitted the script, and this is the one that I picked. It was not just because this was, you know, reflecting a different side of myself that I didn't get to represent, but it was also telling a really important story that's hugely timely, and it's done from a different perspective. So there was a lot of purpose and meaning, you know, just beyond me having, you know, a lead role in something for the first time, that really drove me to want to do this. If it were just a vanity piece, you know, I probably wouldn't have been as passionate about it.
That's great. Stefon, can you tell me, when you started working with this story, See You yesterday, did you feel as though why did you think it felt like a short film format at this time? Because I understand you're going to be expanding it, is that correct?
Yeah, I'm expanding into a feature film right now.
Okay, so when you first looked at it and you came up with the idea, the story, when you were working on it, what made you feel like this story would fit into a short film format?
It doesn't fit into a short format.
Okay.
when I first started writing, it was actually a feature, and my professors was like, "Nah, you're doing a short. You ain't ready for a feature, baby." So I said, "Okay." So I made it to a short for a proof of concept for the feature, because there's so much one of the things I want to delve upon about the world of, you know, Black teenagers in America. We oftentimes we have Black teenagers in films who are drug dealers or gang members, and not enough of brilliant minds, scientists. And some, you know, I grew up in the hood, and I'm not that, and I came out all right.
That's wonderful. I just want to make sure I ask you too about special effects, because you had them in your show, in your film. Can you talk a little bit?
Wasn't cheap.
Okay. Well, so when you look at being able to expand it, is special effects part of your the excitement of the budget, of like what else you're going to be able to tell with this story in terms of what, you know, I mean, because you made it really fun and interesting, and it felt like it was a really believable part of the story. So in terms of like kind of going to the next level, is that something that you're excited about, being able to add special effects in a different way?
I try to keep everything practical as much as possible. Like go in trying to keep it cheap, never the case. But special effects happen, like, you know, during the process, like the stuff on we have to show the time travel. I was like, all right, fine, because I was trying to do the Back to the Future thing where it happens off screen. It just didn't work out. So, but most of it is just, you know, getting the story right, casting right, having fun. I had fun with my actors, Dante, Parrish, Alex. I love y'all.
That's great. Thank you. I'm really excited too to see how this all expands into the next part, you know, the next part of storytelling for you. Clayton, I was interested in that you shot this on 16 millimeter, which is in the end when we saw, you know, what you normally might see at the end of a film. Could you talk a little bit about that, about your decision to shoot on 16
It was
millimeter?
really dumb. Okay, that's not true. But wait, first I just want to say that I am a proud SAG-AFTRA member and that y'all are my people. So I'm very happy. And I'm proud to show this to you tonight and to kind of commune, if that's not too heavy a word, because it was a couple years ago at this event, actually, that our casting director, Liz Ortiz-Mackis, who I'm sure many of you know, brought me to this showcase, which I didn't know about prior to that because I'm a bad member. And I learned a lot there and actually got my UPM from that event. So anyway, I'm very happy to be here tonight, so thanks. And yeah, this is my first time making a movie after 20 years as an actor here. And so I thought it would be really smart to shoot on the streets on the Lower East Side during the day on 60mm film. Make like permanent, lifelong enemies of my sound team. But actually, we planned the whole shoot to shoot on a red, which my DP was. Everybody was on board. It was all set. And about 3 weeks before production, I was going to the lab to pick up the black and white photograph of Diane. That actually is Diane. That 8x10 photograph that he shows her. She was so amazing. We went to that diner that's since been torn down on 11th Avenue, and she brought this, I asked her to bring some old pictures, and she was like, with this file. And I was like, oh, man. But the one that she gave me was huge. It's this enormous print. And I felt weird risking that as her personal property. And so we did an optical scan of it, and I had a new print made of it that was smaller and also would feel like it was a prop. And I was going to the lab to pick up that prop, and I had this kind of moment that the whole story is about memory. And the whole story is in many ways about film. And it was raining, and I was already sleep deprived and crazy. And we just started talking about it, and we started pricing it out, and it's a long story. But the DP found this dude who worked on a feature film set in Arizona who had some old film stock that had been unopened in his fridge that he stolen from the set or something.
Oh my God.
And so I literally bought 60mm film on eBay.
That's great.
And I didn't know how dumb and risky that was. And my DP, Giacomo Belletti, who's a total treasure, absolutely knew how dumb and risky it was and chose not to tell me until after it all came back and processed okay.
Well, there's a lot of added expenses too, in the end, in post, when you're working on film that you don't find digitally.
Yeah, that's true. There's also things like remember the whole hair in the gate thing? Check the gate. The fact that people still say check the gate shooting digitally is nonsense. It doesn't mean anything. It's real. Hair in the gate is real.
All right, so as you're planning what you want to do for next year to put together, you want to look at what you're going to shoot on and maybe not so much 16mm. Okay, so Kyle, talk to me about, we have wonderful themes here tonight and some very heavy subjects, and then we get to the book huffers. Yeah.
Sniffers, not huffers.
Different. I'm sorry. Okay. The book sniffers. And so can you talk a little bit about this story and how it came to light?
Yes. So I had been looking to do a short film for 8 months, and I had started doing, much like Monica, a nationwide search for scripts. And I read 500 of them, and I hated every single one of them. And I just I was posting it on message boards, and I was on the International Screenwriters Association. I was all over the place. And I had pretty much given up, and I was going to write something myself. Because originally this was going to be a challenge for myself to direct someone else's script, because I am a writer and I write myself. The majority of things that I've ever shot, always been myself. So, but at the last moment, a script came in, and it was this one. And I absolutely loved it. And I emailed Jason, the writer, and said, I want to make your script into a movie. And he was like, I love your work. Let's do it. So from there, it just we did a couple rewrites together and came out to that wonderful piece of delightful smelling, whatever you want to call it.
That's great. Thank you. Can you touch briefly on casting for your project? And if you want to start here, Mandy, and how that worked, just because so many actors here, if you could just talk a little bit about the casting process.
Yeah, so I knew that for the lead character playing opposite me, Ben, I wanted someone who was gonna raise my bar. Like, I wanted to work with somebody really, really good. So the director, Jeremiah, reached out to Jim's agent, and he read the script and liked it, I guess, enough to say yes. Thank you, Jim. Everyone else, a lot of the smaller roles were friends of mine, people I trusted and worked with for years, so I hired them immediately. And the child actor, normally you would think that would be the hardest to cast, but he was the first one that came in for the audition, and we knew right away that he was the one. And I think that's it.
That's great. Monica?
So we kind of did a combination of things. We hired a casting director, Russell Boast, who's a member of the Casting Society. He's a member, I think he's like on the board of the Casting Society of America. He's done a couple TV shows, and we were able to get Russell Boast because he had a relationship with the producer I hired. And so we used Russell to cast the principal characters, Alejandro, the lawyer, the doctor, and then for the supporting roles, the reporter, the nurses, we went through, oh God, what was it? We went through one of the online casting services, and I'm so sorry, I can't remember which one, but there's so many. And we just had people submit tapes, and we just cast them off tape. So that's how we did that.
My casting process, I had a casting director. She's named Winter Coleman. She's the daughter of Spike Lee's casting director, Kim Coleman, and a graduate of Howard University. I'm a graduate of Morehouse College. Spellman in the building? No? Okay. But I had a casting director, and casting director is very helpful. They help you facilitate the process of selecting really good talent and help you as a director to help you tell your story. And the quick story about my lead actors, Dante and the lead actress, Ed and Duncan Smith, they're actually best friends in real life. And she brought them in together and they read together. And it was really, really good. It was really beautiful. But you know, I had to be very professional. So okay, thank you very much. You hear me from a week, and good luck. As soon as the Winter closed the door, I said, Winter, I need them right now. Right now, I don't want them right now. And next day, I cast them, and they've been the most professional actors I've worked with. And at that time, they was 16 years old. They're both 18 now.
Wonderful.
Can I mention something else?
Sure, go ahead.
Really quickly about the casting process. For some of the extras, the mourners that you saw in the, towards the end, because we weren't, they were non-union, and we were working on a low budget. We had our producer and the producer's assistant actually do like an outreach, and just find we literally just plied them with pizza. We're like, we'll just feed you pizza for several hours and $50 if you show up. The other thing too is, if you want to act, but you're also, if you're acting in something, but you're also casting, when I auditioned for Alejandro, because that was really important to see, chemistry, we actually had offers out to a couple of known actors, and they were offer only. They weren't going to come in, and read with me because, who's Monica Lawson? We don't know her. Like, the agents were like, this person's resume speaks for themselves. You either just have to give him the part or not. And so, there was one guy that we really wanted, and we were pretty much going to hand him the part, but he ended up turning it down. I think because he didn't want to play cops anymore. But I think in the casting process for that, it was really important to see the actor in the room. And as well, I chose not to stay behind the table. I actually read with that was the only one of the principal cast members that I read with Alejandro, because I needed to know that we could act together and we could play off each other. And that was something that I chose to do. It was quite an experience. I understand why casting directors prefer to keep their distance from actors because as much as we're creative and, we're hardworking, we're also a little bit nutty. And we were actually auditioning the crib scene, which can get very intimate. And that got a little dicey in places. So as much as, I'm a very generous actor, and I know that, I would prefer to read with somebody who's, actually an actor, because you want to feel like you're in it. But there's a certain, I think, commonsensical way of kind of being able to step back and see, what you're actually getting. But, that's a personal choice, and it depends on the scene and how comfortable you are doing that with somebody who you don't quite know yet. Because we only had one audition with them. Like we weren't doing callbacks because callbacks cost more money. So you have to think about that as well. So that's why my choice was just to jump in, because if they read great with the reader and then with me they suck, I just needed to know right away. So that was something that I thought you might like to know.
Great, thank you. Clayton, did you want to talk about your casting process?
I just loved it. I really enjoyed being on the other side of the table. First of all, like, wow, what a relief. But also, I just learned so much. I mean, any of the confidence that I had in this process was because I've learned so much on set and auditions and whatever as an actor. And that counts for a huge amount, actually, more than I kind of thought. But there's obviously a whole world of stuff that you would never anticipate, and that it's unique to being on the other side. And that was very rewarding and interesting. And I loved being able to kind of run the room the way I want to. I don't mean like a control freak way, but like, you know, respecting actors. So I just really enjoyed it. Liz is an incredible casting director. The support that she provided in many, many ways was really critical. And I loved working with actors in the room so much. I mean, Diane is such a treasure. The secret truth is that we didn't really need to have sessions, because the first time that I ever hung out with Liz and talked about the project, she was like, Diane Chesla. And we could have just started shooting, but we went to the trouble. But it was a great experience. I really loved it.
Great, thank you. Kyle?
I've worked with the same casting director for like the past 4 movies, which is phenomenal because she knows how weird I am and what I'm looking for. So we wound up going through backstage, and we kind of kept bumping it to the top, and wound up with 1,400 submissions for Trisha and 1,200 for Nate, which is a lot to go through. So we spent about 2 weeks just kind of going through, and then from there we cut it down to about 50 on each side. And at the top of my list is Kylie and Jay, which never happens that they actually wind up on the screen, but we wound up doing self-tapes with everyone. Then we cut it down to the last 5 people on each side, brought them in for auditions, and you know, so it worked out very, very well, and I'm very, very happy. So.
I just want to say one thing. I just want to let you guys know regarding casting. A good resource for you guys for audition tapes is the On-Camera Lab over at SAG-AFTRA Foundation. It's free. It's free, and the On-Camera Lab technicians are great. I was one of them. So please use it. It's free.
Oh, wait.
Thank you for that pitch for the lab.
Actually, I'm sorry. Do you mind if I say one more thing too?
Please, this is
the
what
casting
this is all
thing
about.
brings up a lot of stuff, but
Yeah.
I think the most important thing actually is that we've all heard as actors, you walk into the room, that it's not about you. It could be just how you look or that day and whatever and the blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, I know, thanks a lot, but why isn't my phone ringing and all that stuff? And learning exactly what that really meant. The fact that I had dozens and dozens of fantastically gifted, creative, collaborative artists in and out of those rooms, and that it was my job to figure out what aligned best with the story. So, you know, people are not blowing smoke up when they say that. It's true, it's real, and we could have cast my short, many times over with wonderful, brilliant, giving artists like you guys, like all of us. So it really just is about circumstance, and that's something that I have been told and told myself a million times, but it wasn't until it was my job to do it that really meant something to me.
I'd like to just hop in on that. I totally agree with you. As a director, I have a list of wonderful actors that I've never got to work with, but I want to work with because I've auditioned with them. And I just haven't had anything that they would specifically be really great for. But when that happens, you know, I got that list to go to, so.
And I'd like to, piggyback on that too. Especially when it, came to Alejandro, there were so many actors who made really, really brilliant choices. And, at the end of the day, it's like sometimes you're like, oh, well, I mean, this guy's the perfect package. And if you just made like the choice that the third actor brought in, like, and if there was a way that you could just combine those two guys together, like it would be a perfect performance or something like that. there's so many ways that you can think about it. And I don't know if it's Oliver Stone. I think long time ago I heard that sometimes like what he'll do is, or some famous director, he'll cast the person that he wants, who's like the picture perfect image or the, tonally correct, right, for the part or for the film. But then he might actually show him another actor's audition and say, see what that guy did? That's a good idea. Now, how bruising that is to another actor's ego, how open they can be to that without taking it personally, it depends on the person, but that just goes to show you, like, I mean, even I had, certain experience. I experienced that in the casting of some of the roles in our film, where, it's, if you can't articulate what it is, it's just like, just look at this moment, like, see what you can bring, to that, and using that, using, that as an example. I would never do that because that, it's kind of like, it's a bit of a slippery slope, but it just goes to show you, like, there's so many reasons as to why, one person gets the part and one doesn't.
Thank you. Isn't it wonderful to have another perspective, and especially just knowing that how valued you are, but that it doesn't always turn out that way, in that you do a great job and you leave and you'd never hear anything, but you're hearing it right now, how we have to take that inside ourselves and really tell ourselves that, because you just have to, keep going. We're not quitting, right? So we're winding up now. And what I would love is if that each of our filmmakers could give a piece of advice about what you would like us to know about creating your own work. And because you all created beautiful pieces that were so enjoyable on so many different levels. And if you could just let us know maybe just one thing that you really think is important to inspire someone to make their own work. Do you want to start, Mandy?
Sure. I guess this is most appropriate for my film, Don't Be Afraid, because I think at first I was really scared to put that kind of topic out there in the world, just because I didn't want it to be unlikable. I didn't want people to judge the character and then judge me. But the response has been really overwhelming in a positive way. And and really don't take any shortcuts. Hire the right people for every single job. It's very important, because you don't want to do something, you don't want to put all your money, saving your money and your energy and your time, and then cut corners and then regret it later on. So take the time, even if that means putting it off another year. It's important to do it right.
Great, thank you.
I definitely agree. Be really patient with your script, because, when like I said, I did a nationwide search for scripts. I bought the rights to my script so that I would have, the freedom to do whatever I wanted to do with the story. And so, it's like, it's such a, big investment financially. And, when you're working in film, like, the money is just, endless. If you, like you said, if you try to cut corners, it'll come up in production or during the production phase, or it'll come up during post. So make sure that your script is, really locked and solid. And also too, we're as artists, we're hustlers. Like, unless you've got money falling, out of your pockets, you're going to be asking people, a lot of favors, or to get paid less than they normally would. I mean, this is just, the artist's, field. And if you've got a really strong script that people, want to be a part of, they'll take the lower pay, like they'll do the favors for you. And so that's also, something else to think about. So yeah, those are my two pieces of
Great,
wisdom.
thank you. Stefon?
The best I can say right now is that please remember that you are valued, you are special, you are wonderful. I'm serious. Because I'm hearing when I was working at the on-camera lab, I'm hearing a whole bunch of stories. I didn't get cast because I'm too tall, my nose is too big, my skin is too dark, I'm not light enough. This, is not on you. And to create your own work is actually a genius move, because you're creating the work that you always wanted to be cast for. So, and that's not a damaging thing. That's a very brave thing. And I agree with Mandy. Hire people that you want to spend your money on.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's expensive and you got to put in the work. So good luck.
Yeah, I think along the same lines, if you create your own work, you might do that so that you are giving yourself some material to work in. I couldn't even get a job in my own movie. So or I didn't really mean that, but or you're creating work that you just want to write or direct or produce or any other field. So the thing that I would say, and it's just exactly the same as being an actor in these circumstances, is not to heed the voices of what do they want, what are they looking for, they. Just allow the material to resonate with you. And if that's the script that you're writing, or if that's the thing that you're going in the room for, or whatever it is, find the place that we connect to it and operate from a place of authenticity. If it doesn't align, it wasn't yours to do anyway. And that's as an actor, or if you're creating your own work, don't hustle your script to be something that you think is going to be marketable or whatever. At least that's not what I would advise doing. To have the engine to keep it going for the long haul, to get it through production, post-production, marketing, festivals, blah, 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 you have to believe in it, and you're only going to believe in it if it is the thing that you meant to create.
Beautiful.
Don't try to do too much. You have actors who are directors, who are producers, who are editors. There's the more jobs that you have going on when you're trying to create a work is you get pulled in too many directions. Your acting will suffer. Your directing will suffer. You'll forget things that need to happen on set. Like, it's try to cut it down. I mean, we're all indie filmmakers. We're all wearing multiple hats, but just try to consolidate as much as possible. And then again, goes back to hiring additional people to help out. You know, get friends to help out. Do whatever you have to do to make something. I think that's a super duper important thing.
Hire people that are a lot smarter than you.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Excellent. That.
Felipe is a lot smarter than me. That's why I hired him.
Fabulous. Well, I'd like to thank you all so very much for being a part of this experience tonight, sharing your feelings about the work that you made and how you put it together. I hope that everyone here got something out of it, that not just from the experience of watching the films, but also to take home to say, what do I want to start working on? Why not me? Why not me writing my story now? So thank you. Let's just give a huge round of applause to our wonderful filmmakers. Thank you.